minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay. Rap your city. Let me see the mic. Rap your city. Give me the mic. Rap your city. I got you. Rap your city. I'm gonna tell you about mine. Rap your city.
It's time for us to go live, so rep your city. I really would appreciate if y'all roll with me. Feeling this music cause it makes me wanna step. And if you don't want it to, then you lying to yourself. Cause every time we party, we gon' have fun. I don't know about you, but I'ma rep where I'm from.
Rap your city. Okay. Rap your city. Let me see the mic. Rap your city. Give me the mic. Rap your city.
Yo, 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 what's happening, y'all? Welcome back once again to the RYC Live show. That's Rep Yo City right here, broadcasting to you live in Chicago. And we're back again at the 8 o'clock hour with another special guest. Shout out to my girl, Lady Jim Star, for the 6 o'clock episode. But we got a double feature tonight, and we have another special guest. One of my homies that I went to school with. But before we get into the segment, we like to just encourage everyone, if you can please share this broadcast, please share it, like it, engage with us by making comments. You can type in the comment. We can see your comment. If you have a question for our brother, you can ask the question and, just enjoy the show. So we'll be on for the next hour or so. Like I said, if you have not subscribed already before to our YouTube channel, please do so at RYC Live. If you'd like to be a guest on a future show, you can actually send us an email to ryclive@yahoo.com. That's ryclive@yahoo.com. Send us an email and someone to get back to you from the team, and we'd be more than happy to book you on a future date for a future show. So, with that being said, tonight we have a special activity going on over at the Chicago Hip Hop Heritage Museum in Bronzeville with my boy Brian Gorman and Kingdom Rock. They're over there right now. I had to actually come back to the studio to set up to do these interviews because we wasn't having a good signal over at the museum. So nevertheless, once I get done with my homeboy who I'm finna introduce, I'm going to jet back over to the museum, and we're going to pick up with the activities and festivities over there at the Chicago Hip Hop Heritage Museum. So we're going to learn a little history tonight. This is a brother that I went to high school with. We went to Dunbar Vocational High School back in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Graffiti writing, beatboxing, and rapping, and just representing the whole culture, here in Chicago on the South Side. You know what I'm saying? This brother was always a cool, mellow, and networking type of guy. He was the type of dude that connected you with other people, and we needed that in our communities. We needed that. Not everybody could do that well. So, shout out. So this is the man, the legend himself, my brother, Image. There he is. What's happening? What's happening?
What's up?
Welcome. There you go. Welcome to the RYC Live show, my brother.
Appreciate you guys having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. It's been a long time in coming. And like you say, everything happens for a reason. We're thankful and grateful to, man, still be alive and still doing this thing. And to have you come on the show is an honor, man, because, I have a lot of fond memories of us when we were back in high school, and as you say, we did what we did, you know what I'm saying? Because we loved it. We did, some people get into hip hop today for other reasons, but I can remember a lot of us got into it because we loved it. You know what I'm saying? And, at the time we got into it, we were still pioneering and discovering it. So tonight, man, I want you to
discovering itself back then. I mean, because I remember situations where, like I said, my life has come together by different events and my ability to network and understand and absorb things from people that I didn't even really know were going to be influential in my life.
Yes.
I remember going to Bryn Mawr back in like my first grade years. So in like mid 70s, I was in school in Bryn Mawr off 75th and Jeffrey, and Rapper's Delight came out on the radio.
Yes.
There was me and one other kid named Eileen.
Okay.
In the hallway rapping it verbatim.
Wow.
Just in the hallways. And this is before ciphers. This is before people were, you know, really spitting. This was one of those tunes, either you liked it or you didn't like it, because we were still doing disco back in the 70s then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, you know, it's just, it was really weird because it grabbed me then when it was barely on the radio. You know, it was getting maybe like 5-6 spins a day.
Yeah.
On GCI and maybe BMX.
Yes.
So being in Chicago, we weren't from New York, and there wasn't very much coming out of New York other than what Sylvia Robinson and a few other people were bringing out. So yeah, it was just like a precursor to this is what you're going to be drawn to from that point on.
Nice. Now let's talk about your early beginnings. So what neighborhood were you from when you, you know, like you say, when you heard the song and start getting attached to it?
When I first got here, I lived in Madden Park Projects on 39th and Ellis.
Okay.
Right across the street from the fort. Okay. All of my relatives were EELs except for like one cousin who's a gangster. Okay. So other than that, you know, we had our gang influence and our tight-knit family. The Blackstone Rangers being so close right down the block, we had an understanding on how important it was to network because everybody looked out for everybody. Yeah. When I moved, I wound up going to 79th Street off of Cottage Grove by AR Leaks. Okay. Didn't stay in the neighborhood long, but I went from there to 76th and Champlain, which is like 2 blocks off of Jeffrey. And that's why I want going to Bryn Mawr at. Okay. So I'm moving around on the south side of town. I was usually, and like most of my life, I was on the south side, southeast side. Didn't really know anything about the west side. Mom had a car, but we only went where we needed to go with the car. So I didn't know anything about the west side. Okay. So the city was pretty much a small piece of the pie for me. It's no way I could visualize it. And when you're a youngster and you're shown the world through blinders, you sometimes want to find out how much is outside of your eyesight. And I wound up getting into that a little bit later. But we wound up moving into the 31st Street area again because my mom was in IIT, Illinois Technical Institute of Technology. IIT's right off of 31st Wabash. We wound up living in the dorms right there in between the train tracks and Wabash. Nice. So I wound up going back because I started off at Douglas. I'm sorry, I started off at Donahue when I was in Head Start. Okay. Went to first grade on 75th Street. And then when I came back to Douglas, I wound up in a classroom with Riot's older sister, Cindy. Okay. Or I think it was in the class with Riot's older sister, but definitely Riot was there. That's like where I ran into Riot for the first time. We had both been in Douglas at the same time, but I think he was a class behind me. Okay. And then there was the other school that we went to. We both went to Douglas too. Douglas and Donahue. Okay. It's just that he was a year behind me. Okay. When I turned into the classroom to look around, it was like 3 guys that was drawing. Okay. One of the guys named Anthony. That was Triple.
Wow. Triple from the west side?
Yeah, yeah. He used to live on
Wow.
35th Street, right next to Alco's off of
Wow.
King Drive. And
Wow.
Tony was like, he was silly, but he wasn't goofy. But
Hmm.
he was one of the three people in the room that was talented at drawing. So we draw
Wow.
comic book characters and we draw different things. So he always had the hand in art,
Okay.
and you just wind up gravitating towards people that you can pull from. And
Okay.
I was always drawn to people who were artistic
Right.
because I had a lot of things going on that I needed to work out,
Right.
but I needed to have the right environment to do it in.
Yes.
So when I wound up getting into a situation where I see somebody that's drawing, someone that's artistic, I get drawn to them, whether it's music, whether it's, painting, whether it's, you know, some type of art, and I can figure out how it works and what they're doing differently than everybody, you got my attention.
Okay.
So after that, I wound up going to a different school for like 2-3 weeks. We were trying to move back towards the 80s.
Okay. Now, real quick, who were the other two artists? You say Triple and it was
One of the
two
brothers' name was Fred. It was me, and then another dude named Carl.
Okay.
His name was Shorty Long.
Okay.
His name was Carl Jones. So
Okay.
that was the three
Okay.
in my class. So I went to one school for like literally 2 weeks. Didn't make it. I don't know if you ever remember this school from around my way. It was right off of like 85th and Ingleside. It was called John Sabarbro. It's Arthur Ashe now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember that.
We were
Yeah.
voting for a name change the weeks that I was there. I got
Wow.
into like mad trauma. Every time I would like get there, I would like just like sign out and go to sleep. And I had no interest in it. It was like I'd never been suspended before. I was suspended twice in like the 2 weeks I was there. So the school wasn't a good fit.
Okay.
So my mom was like, we were living on 28th Street. And she said, we're going to do this. We're going to put you in Drake, right across the street from the house.
Uh-huh.
I was living in Prairie Shores in that last building right across the street from Drake. And Drake, of course, was right across the street from Dunbar.
Wow.
That was that school that was just in between my house, the projects, and across the street on 28th Street.
Mm-hmm.
It's union welders or pipe fitters or something now. And they wound up moving Drake further over. But when I was there, one guy popped up in like 6th grade from the north side. And this is why I say it's so important to have these guys that came from New York Generation 1, like the X-Men. So we had Peely Fresh's influence.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace, Peely. We had Paint from Mosa, Nazon from Mosa. Not that these guys were from New York, but these
Right.
guys were hanging out with Stain, and they were hanging out with Peely, and they were hanging out with different people. And then we had other people like Warp. We had other people from New York that were just throwing all of this influence directly into the artists that were absorbing it in Chicago.
Yes.
So when you've got people that are absorbing it like a sponge, now you've got Generation 1 Chicago hip hop.
Yes.
And these are the people that want to be painters. We were already rapping, but at the same time, now we've got rapping and its influence and reinforced by other elements of hip hop. So now it's like you've got things in common with people you never really thought you was going to have reason to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got, people like Angie, who's, getting influences from the hundreds as well as the North Side. You've got people like, all the people that are rapping, but at the same time still doing graffiti.
Right.
So this one guy, his name was George Brashear. And he was, in my opinion, not a big artistic guy, but he knew people from the North Side because he had just moved to the South Side from the North Side. He lived 2 buildings down from me. And he started calling me a toy and said, all you draw is superheroes and comic book characters. You can't draw. You don't know nothing about hip hop. And he was doing throw ups and he was doing little pieces. And I was like, I can do that. He's like, man, you've been working on this page for like 5 minutes. All you got is a torso and some legs. So then I started studying the craft a little bit. And once he opened my mind up to what was possible, and then we started talking about different things and different names, then he was like, I write up Wish. I used to write Deck.
Okay.
D-E-K, like for decade.
Okay.
And he was telling me about all the old schoolers on the other side of town. And when you hear the story from people and it sounds like tales of legend, and it's almost like the ring of the Lord of the Rings story, and it's like super intriguing, and you just like, how much of it's true? How much of it is fiction? What if I go there and try to find these people in these places? You know, what if I go to this Sheraton place, and what's around the bench? And are people just hanging out there waiting for me to show up? Is that when you made it? And I really didn't have the exact guidance, but it was like I was drawn to these things because I figured that Chicago was all about networking. And because we were broken up by the distance, the trains was the only thing that really kept us going. So I would just hop on the train or hop on the BMX bikes. And I'm looking like, all right, see anybody my age on the platform? You know, and dude, you know, we start seeing trains because I lived right next to the train lines in certain places. Like when I was at Wabash, you could see the train from my window.
Okay.
And you start seeing people's names on the train, and you start seeing, you know, Kango and the Avengers crew and Pause, and the North, South, West was going with, you know, a few other people. And I'm just like, wow, you know, I need to find who these people are. It can't be that many people doing this.
Yeah.
Because it was still kind of early. And that's where my influences came from. It was just curiosity and saying, I have something that I'd like to make better. I don't have anyone to directly hold my hand and show me. But at the same time, I know that there are people that are interested in it, and I want to follow it down the rabbit hole to see where it goes.
Okay.
And while I was in 7th grade, we had one brother that told me, and he lived all the way on 47th Street, no, 42nd Street, 47th, right off of Cottage Grove. He says, my brother's in IAC.
Wow.
And they have meetings down the street on 47th Street. Remember, we were at Drake. I believed him. So I got out of the house one Saturday morning and went down 47th Street across the bridge into like Canaryville, looking for people that were going to be in IAC having a meeting. To see if they could like teach me something or if I could join.
Right.
And I didn't know that a lot of people from IAC were right across the street in Dunbar at the time.
Right.
So, it was just figuring out exactly where people were and what was going on. So this is around 86, 85.
Okay.
Started rapping a little bit, and people were finally starting to listen to rap more often. We had WHPK. I was passing out tapes, and I was just like, hopes to get them back. But I'm more interested in having people exposed to the shows that they don't hear.
Now, were these tapes that you recorded? Okay.
Every Wednesday and Saturday at that time. They didn't have the 3 shows yet. So Ken Whitaker was still there.
Okay.
And this is just before JP Chill. So now I'm passing stuff out. And I started talking to my boy George again. And George was rapping. And I was rapping. And he was like, well, let's make a tape. So we made a tape. Nazon, his buddy, Rayleigh Rail, came all the way up from the north side, met us at his crib. He played my keyboard and basically did the background for a quick song, you know, probably about 18 bars total, but nonetheless, we got that song to HBK. Ken played it.
Wow.
And people in the neighborhood were just like, oh, that's cool. That's really cool. You guys are on the radio. And we heard it. So we know it's you.
Right.
But at the same time, I was hanging out with people in the projects. And when you're hanging out in the projects, everybody's doing their own thing there, and everybody's not a hip hop head.
Right.
Hip hop was still booming in Chicago. It wasn't like full blown yet.
Yes.
So the artist was like LL. Crush Groove had just come out.
Okay.
So I'm looking at people, you know, like, it's the drug dealer, this the neighborhood thugs. They looking at me like, you could do to be rapping. Hey, Fool J, spit some I Need Love. And I'm like, damn, I gotta do this. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be able to make it through the hood. Pick me up the projects. So, you know, at the same time, I'm sitting there like, man, I got my own rhymes, but they like, shut up, man. My girl here, man, sing that song. So, you know, it's like, when I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the walls, and in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call. It's like, dude, let me just get this ghetto pass, get kicked out or beat on, and I'm gonna be straight. So, it took me about a good month or two to win them over. Then everybody was just like, you got some rhymes. All right, well, let me hear one of them.
Okay.
And then by that time, it was like, all right, the next time you come through, hey, yo, kick another one of them rhymes, man. So then it's like another month to go by that I'm like, pick a number 1 to 10. I just spit whichever one that is. It's like, you got them numbered? You got 10 of them? I got more than 10.
Okay. So
then by that time, it's like, you know, people doing their own thing. And then I'm running into like second, third generations of drug dealers. And, you know, it's not as good as Too Short, and it's definitely not as lucrative. But, you know, once you get the respect of the drug dealers in the neighborhood, you can do no wrong.
Yeah.
So once we get away from the whole idea of gang banging, and you're not popping up to take over the hood, and you're not trying to screw all the girls in the neighborhood, you can go pretty much anywhere you want in the city. And that was the trick, because my girl lived in Stateway. So I'm like banging to get in and out every once in a while, because they're looking at me like, you don't live in the Jets, man. You ain't gonna be coming through here and taking all our women. I'm like, I only want one. Yeah, but she a good looking one, dog. We gonna have to keep, like, no, you ain't gonna be able to do that, dog. So once I figured out that it was more than just a ghetto pass, I started hopping on the L and going to the north side. And then you see somebody walking around spray painting, because we were blatant back then. This is where they made it a felony. They recodified everything. Yes. You didn't have to be 18 to have spray paint back in the early 80s.
Yep.
So the mid 80s, it was like you could just walk around, and unless they caught you, you were fine. So what happened was I started meeting people, and then between rapping and meeting up with rappers that knew people, like I said, when you meet people like Angie 13, you go meet people because she knows everybody.
Yeah.
So you hanging out with Rail. Rail knows people, so he's also producing. He's doing, you know, his music, and he knows everybody. You know, he knows Orko, he knows the Feds guys, he knows.
Right.
You know, the north side was his own thing, and then the west side seemed to be its own thing too. And it was a little bit more overlap than it was on the south side.
Okay.
We were almost isolated.
Okay.
So when I got a chance to actually hang out with people from the north side, whether it would have been at one or two of those situations, I was like, I'm gonna make it work the best I can. Because these are the connections that I need, because these are the people that are the closest to the source. Because most of the people from the north side that were doing it from New York went to the north side. They didn't come to the south side. So, you know, you had Warp and Cabrini. I mean, I don't even know what Kool Rock Steady was when he came on the rapping tip,
right?
You know, and bringing that Zulu energy to Chicago, but I don't know if he was on the south side.
Yeah, he was. He was actually from Inglewood.
You know, those were the places that we didn't really hang out very much, because when you go to Inglewood, for me, man, it was mostly gang banging. Paint stayed over there, but I never saw him over there. I always knew he was on the north side with Mosa.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, and you find those little cliques of one writer that'll hang out with the other writers. So you'll have Tap and Paint, or you'll have, you know, people in the same crew that hang out with each other. And even though they might not be in the same crew, that still would be the clique that you would see together. Yeah. So, you know, I ran into people like Upski and Kevin that was writing Next 2 back in the days. Next took me to Upski's crib, and I was like, dude, you are nothing like I thought you were gonna be. And he had, he showed me, he's like, I got all these little scribbles, and you just got to kind of find your own style.
Yeah.
And even though I'm more famous for rapping,
Okay.
my passion is still just to be an artist, just to be a little bit different and to figure out how to do these things simultaneously and also do it well to a certain extent. And not, to be competitive, but at the same time, to be able to hold my own. When I got into high school, that's when I ran into Kingdom, you. Riot was there again, and I was just like, okay, we started doing the ciphers at the table. We was doing, a lot of just, daily things where we keeping our piece books. We started going out racking together, and I'm a Sigma male. You saw everybody in the crew. Everybody was an alpha except for, like, I think me and Riot. I don't know. Riot and me were on our own thing. Yeah. But everybody else, like Ken and Rick and Color, I had to work and finesse those guys. It's like, all right, I'm always carrying a backpack. You want me to hold that stuff for you while you go into the store? Or would you like to let them hold it for you? You go steal some stuff, and then when you come back, you ask them for the stuff while you got the stuff that you stolen. Because I'll hold it for you. You just grab me some Gesso or something, or a couple markers. I'm sending people. I'm consciously sending people away from where everybody wants to go right to the spray paint. Right. Like, you have 8 people go to the same spot. You got to move around, bro. You got to share it around.
You was thinking of tactical ways.
Exactly, and this is the way that you got to work with alphas. You can't tell them what to do, but you can influence them. and that's the beautiful part about networking, man. Because as a Sigma, it's like they was like literally trying to whoop me. Okay. It's like everybody then took shots at me. And it was like, you know what? We're gonna have to get together and just whoop his. It's just not gonna work one-on-one. But together we got him. I'm sure we got it.
Yeah. So,
between Lati, Color, Scream, and everybody else that was in the school, we would go at different times and just, successfully like grab 15, 20 items out of University of Illinois, or we go down to, 2 or 3 other stores that was nowhere near our school.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that's what you had to do to support the art because nobody was getting paid for it.
Right. So talk a little bit about, and give me some time frames in terms of year marks. But when you start rapping, around what year was that when you started?
All right. I was trying to break around 82, 83. Okay. Like when it was like fresh. Everybody was still doing wacky, and I was watching Rerun. And of course, it's like, you watching it on What's Happening Now, and it's like, okay, that's the cool dance move, but there's something behind it. And even though I didn't know exactly what the wacky dances were, it felt like something that I could or should be doing. Okay. When I started getting into my first girlfriend on a serious basis, I was like, I'm gonna take it to this movie, Crush Groove. Gotta go see Crush Groove. Right. It's like Crush Groove, Nightmare on Elm Street. Those were like the 2 movies out at the time, and everybody was going downtown to the show. Right. That was the routine. So when everything was set up, I would say that would probably be about 86, 85.
Yeah, because Crush Groove came out in 85.
And it was like, I was like all in by then. I was actually working on my own styles. And I was doing wilder stuff because that's what the people that I was seeing were doing. Then I got my hand on a Spray Can art book, learned a little bit more about some of the people in Chicago and places to go, ran into Fear and Kason. Forecast kind of showed me a few things. Fear was like the best guide ever. And I didn't know that he was such a historian. Yeah. So he was like, this is where you go and this is what you do. And he all of the tricks. And I was like, dude, I'm gonna keep up with you. I ain't gonna let you go. You are my plug.
Right.
So then when everything was said and done, you get a call on like a Friday, and it's like, dude, there's a meeting. I'm like, oh, cool. All right, that's cool. The other person that was really influential for me coming up was my boy Syncue, because he was the kid that lived three buildings down, like on the next block. But when he moved to the north side, he was already doing graffiti. To the north side on Argyle, it just opened up the door to, like, all these different writers that I didn't know, because it's like he could find everybody. Then when I come over there, he's like, yo, we got to go to Joe's crib. And it's like, oh, what's up, Joe? Yeah, I'm Chosen, and this and this and this and that. And how you get my style, bro? Like, you was doing it. I was just, wasting time because you went in there and your paper was here. So I just, I'm like, dude, it's a cursive style. It's not like it's not that hard to copy. But, it's like Syncue was doing mostly tags. He wasn't doing characters. He wasn't doing, but, he was really good at networking. He would call you 3-4 times a day.
He sure did.
And he loved hip hop, man. So it was when I would come over to visit him, and it was just like, oh, we got to go see Meek, and we got to go see, all these different people. And I'm going past Argyle, and I'm seeing stuff like on Wilson Street, like, okay, here's the yard, but Heckle is tearing up the college down here. I'm like, I'm getting off on Wilson Street, and I'm running into Stash and other people from NBC, and I'm like,
wow,
this is the spot for hip hop. The North Side is the place.
Okay.
And then when I finally ran into Heckle, he was like, yeah, man, I live on Wilson. I was like, dude, you've been getting in down there.
Yeah.
So it's like you wind up like feeling like this is where you need to be, and these are your peers. And it's like I just been wandering around, and all of a sudden I wound up at home. It's like, dude, there's a meeting. We're gonna go to the meeting. We gotta go to the meeting.
Yeah.
And then that's when the Wall of Fame meeting started.
Okay.
And I was just like, wow, they have been painting their asses off. And that's when the feds was making a push. And it was just like, this is like different. This is like Galleria of art stuff.
Right.
I could see how they do it. I can see that it's here. But dude, it's mind blowing that like we've got people that are this talented here. But you are really into your craft and you know where to get your source from.
Right.
It helps. And then you can focus on what you need to do. I was doing probably in that first year, my freshman year and your sophomore year, I was like doing a whole bunch of different styles. And that's when Basive was coming back for the second time. So the Basive crew was restarting with a different lineup.
Yeah.
And what wound up happening was I went to the north side. I'm sorry, I went to the west side with K-Rock.
Okay.
So Kim was like, hey, Image, man, I'm going over to see Snake. I'm going to the crib. Why don't you come with me? I'm like, it's like, we ain't even with the homeroom. She was a senior, so she was like, I don't care.
Right.
Let's go. So I went over to Snake Rock crib because I remember Snake Rock from when we had a party at the Steps Jam, and we was doing raps there. I didn't know that he was a writer.
Wow.
So he starts, because they were dating, and it's a situation where I'm like, all right, well, your girl brought me over to your crib, and I haven't seen you in a while, man. I want to know what's going on with you. And he was like checking out my styles because I was doodling, and he was like, you know what, bro? I'm gonna give you a little bit of advice. You should rock the plain styles. And I'm like, but I got to do all of this new stuff to show people I got stuff. Like, you got some styles, but work on the foundation first.
Yeah.
And then stretch letters in different ways and look at them differently, and you'll be able to get it. And I'm like, that's the most advice on freaking hip hop and art and graffiti that I've ever had.
Okay.
So I started rocking the plain styles. So if you can remember me in high school, I was
do.
real quick to throw up the Orion tag, but
Yeah.
I was quicker to do the throw ups. It'll
Yeah.
only take me like 60 seconds to
Yeah.
do like a completely shadowed throw up.
Right.
And people were looking like, how did you get there? Somebody told me what I needed to do. And it's like, that's what made sense.
Yeah.
Because even though, like I said, with my boy George, we were running around and I was trying to come up with a cool name because I've been listening to all of these stories about cool people.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, okay, all right, I got to get a name. I'm going to get a name. And I was like, I'm just going to go back to what I was using before. Everybody says that I'm the spitting image of my mom.
Okay.
They said I'm the spitting image of my dad.
Okay.
And they don't look alike. So I'm just going to be Image. And dude was
Oh.
like, that's deaf. Like, that's fresh. I might have to take that. I'm like, no. So, it's like it made sense to me. And then, like I said, we had nicknames when we were younger coming up. I was a noisy baby. My girl wound up getting the name Noise when she heard it. She was like, I like that. I'm like, well, if you like it, it's not like I'm using it anymore. So she started hanging out with me and she was writing Noyze.
Okay.
So she's still, somewhat talented and does art too.
Okay.
So even though we're not together, it's still, just passing the history of hip hop along that way. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's like I found that I wasn't great and I wasn't super simple, and by being an artist rather than just being a writer, it was a nice little middle ground. I could always grow, and then I started looking at my letters and going, let me spin it upside down. What does it look like? What if I pull this side out? What if I draw it at a different angle? And what if I stretch it out versus pushing it together and, putting it in a block of ice or changing the color schemes behind it?
Yeah.
And then I started trying to work on the painting on the walls things. And then it's like, oh man, this isn't coming out right. Oh, I got to draw it in reverse. I got to, you have to learn when you don't have people telling you step by step how to do it. So a lot of the times when I wasn't going to jail for possession of spray paint, you learn. Dude, I was getting caught with like, and they would just like run up on me because at that time, I think it was around 80, 87, 86. They had changed it to where you had to be 18. So I went down to Jewtown because I lived on 28th Street in King Drive. And I was just like, I got 38 cans in my bag. I just bought 38 cans and I'm sitting on the bus stop ready to go home. Police roll up, is like, you're not old enough to have this paint. They illegally searched my bag and it was just like the case got thrown out. But
okay.
Between that and the next time I got caught, I was in a situation with Ken. We were on the north side of North and Claiborne, and he told him, it's hot. Don't spray paint on the station. Being an alpha, you can't tell them what to do. You can only influence them. So we getting trains, and they gone, and we back on the station. So, of course, they're looking to see if kids are staying on the station for a long time. But we got about 20 trains going, and they're running. He's hitting the train station with, like, red spray paint.
Okay.
Then all of a sudden, trains come and leave, and we can hear footsteps coming down the steps. People are coming up the steps, and I'm running like, oh, okay. Ken starts walking up the steps casually. And then the cops look at me and I'm just like, oh shit, we caught. He turns back around like, what? You caught. Both of us. I was like, shit.
Wow.
So they looking like, they looking at my hands. There's no spray paint on my fingertips. There's no spray paint cans in my bag. I had like 130 Prismas, double-ended.
Wow.
And a white and gray jogging suit. They got to figure out how they can draw this line from what drew their attention to me to give them probable cause to search me.
Right.
they're looking for spray paint, which they can't find. So they basically take the tops off the markers and then they wipe it all on my shirt.
Oh, wow.
So that's what drew their attention. And I was just like, this is crap. This is not what you should be doing. Like, dude, you messing up my, like, really? And they took me to jail.
Oh,
so
wow.
my mom was like, why would you do that? It's like, I don't know why they did that. She's like, you can keep the markers. I don't care about that. Let my son go. And everything else was like thrown out. It was all just inadmissible.
Wow.
So when everything was said and done, I didn't wind up getting in trouble again until I was hanging out with Lati.
Hmm.
You know, Lati was out with me one night and he wrote on one of the little interchangeable signs, the advertising on the subway, on the elevated platform, and didn't see the canine dogs. They had two officers, security guards with canine, and they were like, this is fresh. They called the police. The police came to get us, and we were like right off of Roosevelt. So they pretty much walked us to the police station. And it was like, well, where's the spray paint at? It's like, there's no spray paint. It's like, really? There's one marker? Two guys, one marker? Like, I ain't even got the bags for this. It's like, I'll go get it. It's like, dude, he don't want to do the paperwork. It's called cutting the crime.
Right.
So it's like, dude, you know, I wound up getting like a day of freaking I got a day of community service and 2 years of supervision off of that. So when I turned 18, I had to stay out of trouble for like another year, and then they dropped the whole case, stricken on leave. That didn't come back to bug me until I was applying for the Department of Corrections in Wisconsin.
Wow.
Because since then, Chicago has not only made it worse, they've made graffiti into a felony.
Yes.
So now they're looking at my record and they can see that I've got the charge they know is a felony now, but it wasn't a felony when it was given to me. And the state of Wisconsin don't know what SOL means. They don't know stricken on leaves means that they've dropped the case.
Okay.
They just like, how can you be a correction officer with a firearm if you've got a felony on your record in another state? Come on, I ain't got no felonies. You know, and like I say, man, life has brought itself around to make so many opportunities for me. And if I was in a different position, I wouldn't have been able to take advantage of those opportunities. Hip hop gave me that level of comfort to be able to communicate with people because I was always built up in that down south thing with strong women where you only talk when you talk to, and you a man, keep that. Don't put that out. You know, we're not emotional. So now it's gotten to a point where it's like, oh, okay, now I'm comfortable with being emotional and I'm trying to be empathetic with other people and have people understand where I come from and realize that it's not about competition. People are complementary. Yeah. It's not you or me. Sometimes it could be you and me. Sometimes it could be you and you could help me if I don't make it.
Right.
So like I said, I've never really had the success in rap that I wanted. But at the same time, the reason why I got out at the time that I got out is because all the record deals that I was hearing about were terrible. All the options that I was hearing about were terrible. Well, people just wanted to argue. They wanted to be the dopest artists, and either you were the best or they weren't trying to talk about you. And I still think there's a lot of that's people are clearing up now.
Yeah.
We're finally getting together. You know, we're squashing the Vakil and Twister beef, and it's like, you know, Cavalier is doing his thing where everybody else in the city is not. Right. It's like, dude, how can you have all of these dope artists that you know and not include people? You know, Vakil is bringing back Juice as much as possible because Juice is great. You know, we've got artists like D.A. Smart who never really gave up and just like have put Chicago on their back in moments where it almost seemed like Chicago hip hop was just like going to morph into something different as far as rapping goes. So yeah, I mean, we got Color, who's doing great things now with
Sure.
the Matt's Music Group.
Shout out to Color One.
So I'm like, the hip hop scene is in a good spot. I'm happy for it, and I think I'm one of Chicago's biggest cheerleaders.
That's what's
So
up.
even if it's not my personal success, I appreciate it, and I'm hoping for the best for everybody. So yeah, I mean, I've been influenced by a whole bunch of people, and the networking is the most important thing, man. That's the thing I miss most about Chicago.
Word.
Just not the locations, not the food, the people. If I could spend time, if I could find a cool spot, everybody that was cool moved to that spot, it would be perfect. I'd never mention Chicago again.
Let me send a shout out real quick to my homeboy, Mr. Club Banger, aka Mr. RYC Live. He says, "Salute to you, my brother Image." Yeah. So hey, let's talk a little bit about your group, man. I got a picture here. Bam. What was the name of this group?
As a graffiti writer, one of the best groups, Flash, that you had on a couple weeks ago was in a group called TAC, Trix's Art Class.
Mm-hmm.
This is the group that we call TAC, the Awesome Crew, the Tactical Assassins Cabal. And the Royals jacket is MCG. Archie Washington is one of those people that we were talking about in South Commons. I lived in South Commons as well, right on the other side of Dunbar. And Mr. ICE, who also was in South Commons. Nice. So yeah, it's like it's weird because I was talking to people, and Hassan, Mr. ICE, was mentioning Kenya, and I was like, "Sweetie?" He was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "It's amazing how plugged people are."
Exactly.
And they were talking about Archie and Skill. These were people that were in the crew.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew people with those names, but after Archie was one of the people who was like in the neighborhood, and he was in the class with us, and I knew he had turntables and all the rest of that stuff. So I was like, he got DJ equipment, so he want to get down. He just doesn't have a crew. And back in 82 and 83, when we were breaking, they had South Commons versus Prairie Shores. And me and CQ were on the Prairie Shores side for breakdancing.
Okay.
And Archie came through with the people from South Commons. Archie didn't dance, but he did lay down on the cardboard once and then get back up.
Now, what year would you say? What year would you say this photo was taken?
Ooh, that's got to be like 85.
Okay.
86.
You say this was in a dorm, right?
Yeah, that's the UIC dorms because he was like in the dorm with this white guy named Brian. And Brian was like Rick Rubin, man. He had like 8 keyboards, beat machines, and different 4 tracks and all kinds of things going on. And he knew how to play everything.
Wow.
And he would record it, and it would sound super professional because all we needed to do was memorize our lyrics. And if we could memorize our lyrics, we could do it in one take, and it was done. And it was like a professional demo.
Right.
So once we got about 5 or 6 songs done, we took them up to WHPK and play these, play one a night.
Nice.
And that's where my popularity came from, because I was the one that put the group together. It was me and George. And then Ice came through and wanted to battle everybody. He heard us and was like, y'all fresh. We can do something together. And then we got Skill because he knew Skill. And then I took the tape to Archie afterwards to throw the remix on it. And then the last song, Archie actually went to Brian's house with us and brought the turntables.
Okay.
So it was like, that was the solidification of the crew.
Okay.
And the only other crew I thought that was really popular back then was DFC, because they were destroying the radio station for 6 months in a row. And then DVS.
Yes.
Yeah.
DVS. Shout out to the DVS crew.
I was just like, I don't know, man. I mean, when I got to Dunbar, I was just like, dude, there's a lot of people here. And there's a table over there where people are rapping. And I heard Kingdom and our boy Slutbox, Steven Tanner.
Yep.
And I just walked over to the crew and listened to him. I was like, that's cool. I used to rap. And he looks at me like, yeah. And once you've had your stuff on the radio, it's different because they've already got it in their mind what you look like.
Right.
So when I'm listening to him and I'm like, yeah, I used to rap. He's like, what did you used to rap on? What was your name? It's like Image. He's like, you ain't no Image. It's like, yeah, I am. Image from the radio station. I'm like, yeah, that's me. Because you got to remember, he was a senior and I'm coming in as a freshman.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, you just got here. How can you be the guy from the radio? Like, say something, spit something. So then I spit some old stuff. And then since then, I just did freestyles every day in the lunchroom.
Yeah, I remember.
And he was just like, oh, shit. I thought you was going to be older. It's like, nah, man, I told you in the rap, my adult vocabulary has been tested before. I'm not an adult.
Wow.
It was flipping out. It was like this little 14-year-old motherfucker, and he did this shit 2 years ago. What the fuck?
That's what's up. That's what's up.
I was talking to Vakil about it. He was like, you Image? I'm like, yeah. He's like, he spouted some stuff off verbatim about what he remembers. I was like, man, be kind, bro. That was like, I was like 12 when we did that, man. Just, you know, be nice. I got better stuff now, but yeah.
So how did the beatboxing, where did that come to be? How did that formulate for you?
Well, as silly as it sounds, Lord Ski hung out in the same circles as I did before we met up in high school, because we was both hanging around with Riot and people in the Ida B. Wells. So Chainsaw and the other guys from the Ill State Assassins had this little troublemaker in the neighborhood. His name was Tutu, and Tutu wanted to battle everybody. And then Tutu had a buddy named Billy that was doing the beatbox.
Okay.
Legendary Billy.
Billy the beatboxer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's sitting up there with his wave slick back, and he's just doing it all day long. And I started being able to mimic that stuff because I'm really good with tone and pitch, and started getting different things that other people didn't normally have. And then I ran into Slep when I got into high school, and he knew all that stuff and then some. So it was just like about a good 10-year period before I saw anything different, because people were still beatboxing, but they weren't pushing it forward until all of a sudden beatboxing exploded. And it was like, dude sound like a whole 4-track. He's just like banging out 5 different things and scratching. And I was like, wow, okay, we have officially like made it, so it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. Hey, listen. So my brother, Mr. RYC Live, just sent us a message. Let's see what he say. He said, go ahead and spit something now for good times.
You put a brother on the spot like this is the freestyle dude. As an MC, I always got to come up with something freestyle, because you know, if you ain't got nothing written, and nobody has seemed to be interested in actually having me on a track. I mean, I'm waiting to go with Riot. I got to get my money together.
Okay.
Because I want to do some tracks with Riot.
Okay.
With Angie 13, and maybe one with DNA Beats at least.
That'll be nice.
Cyrock cats that I just like have probably got the most connection with as far as beats go. But yeah, let me think about some, because like I said, I got the old raps, and then maybe I could just do a little freestyle, something new.
That'll be cool.
All right, so I'm gonna start off with the old thing. You ready?
Yep.
I'm the king of rhymeration and my title is plain. Stopping the image while I'm moving is like stopping a train. I collide and through collision I repay what I owe. And with the rhymes of Dr. Bleach to devastate my foes and all them suckers I've informed of my lyric infiltration. I entered in another chapter of my lyric commentation sensation. Falls through my body, I need to be stopped. My competition is going to elevate, but I'll reach the top. And my adult vocabulary has been tested before. Into my parlor and join in an intellectual war. Do a draw. I take out like a panther, I pounce, and like a lion, I've been tempered on a several account. You're going to need a bodyguard. Don't face the image unprotected. I'm the victor. You're my victim. In your place, you stand correct, selected. Not the one, the TAC can't be beat. Elevating rap status to the lyric elite. As a mortal, I state my law, so don't compare me to Christ. Compared to this, the 10 Commandments was friendly advice. Sacrifice your microphone and you clearly hear my diction. Underestimate the image and your face of crucifixion.
All right, man. That's great. You still remember it, man.
Yeah, you know, you write stuff, and it was, you know, that was one of the ones that was actually important to me. It's like I started getting that little dark vibe going, and it's like I hear all of this horror rap and you know, like I say, people like Vakil that just keep on throwing all of these bars and visuals.
Yeah,
these are the things that I'm drawn to, man. I'm just trying to grab hold to Chicago artists that are just pushing forward the stuff that I like.
All right, Image, man. For me, man, and for the audience, man, one of the things that outside of the other things that you were good at, is I enjoyed you when you did the beatbox, man. So can you give us a little taste of that right now for the audience?
Oh, let's see. I don't know if I've really been, I really have not been doing the beatbox the way that I should. Like I said, I want to copy and slap.
Yeah.
And really, and that was pretty much where I went to. But
okay.
Since then, man, I've been singing and doing everything else.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. A little simple stuff,
all
you know.
All right. I remember you used to do it quite often in high school, man. Just going through, like you say, walking down the halls, in the lunchroom. You know, you was pretty consistent with that back then.
Well, like I said, man, I've learned how to hide in plain sight because, like I said, a lot of people didn't realize that when you come into high school with a nickname, the police were registering nicknames. Yeah. So if you wind up getting in trouble, you can't write that name no more because they're gonna come right to you and be like, "That's where Ryan came from."
Yeah.
I didn't give up Image, but I knew I couldn't write Image in the school without getting in trouble.
Right.
So, you know, people would come up to me, "Hey, Image, man," all the time. So it's like, you can't be running up to me like that. You know, and even when they had those parties where the police had that setup that I was telling you about, that's like, man, I don't trust going out to parties right now.
Yeah.
I can't afford to be in jail for no reason right now.
Yeah. Here's a drawing of yours, man. Let's talk a little bit about your style individually.
Oh, yeah, this is like I would say this is like a enhanced throw up, man. This is just simple letters with simple form, just kind of a get the job done thing, man. Not very much work goes into that at all.
Yeah.
You know, just simple letters, not very much of a twisted style, and just outlining. If you wind up doing that on a wall backwards, it'll come out perfectly every time.
Yeah.
This is, you know, pretty much as simple as you can make it.
But you had a nice, clean, simple style though with this. This was a nice, clean, simple style.
And when he told me, when Snake Rock told me rock the simple styles, Threes told me do the plain styles, and it was like, all right, not only am I going to do the plain styles, I'm going to know how to twist the plain styles enough to where it's not necessarily plain.
Yeah.
But
it's
not just going to be all wild style the way you can't read it.
Yeah.
You know, you see people like Dame or other people versus people like Prey One or Speed, where you've got these different styles and everything is in style and context, but it's not all wild style.
Yeah.
You know, you want your letters to do like, this is what you did to the K, then this is what you're going to have to do to the L, then this is what you're going to have to do to the E. Same thing. It shouldn't be always you know, one letter that's doing one thing and another letter that went through a different dimension and then another letter that looks like it don't belong. You want it to have a cohesion.
Yeah.
So starting off with the base of simple letters, you wind up coming into the ability of doing a style rather than having just 2 or 3 letters that are thrown together that don't make sense.
Now, what crews did you represent for the record, Image? What graffiti crews did you represent?
I really didn't. I hung out with everybody. So it was like, I never really got to join a crew. Okay. And when I thought I was with a crew, it was just like, oh, y'all broke up. Okay. Just like, then you realize you don't need a crew. You know, you just need to be cool with those people, man. It's so much more important to be cool with the people that can teach you something that you can do something with. Like, you know, Riot's in like 5 different crews.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I go out with Riot, you know, it's an honor just to go hang out with them versus being in a situation where I gotta, you know, try to throw up the crews. And, you know, I've seen, you know, great groups come and go, and it's not about the crew, it's about the individuals in that crew and how they would like to, you know, show you something new on the canvas that they got. Like I say, man, I've gotten past this. I'm a little bit different because, like I said, I've gotten past this whole idea of competing. It's like, it's not about competing. And I don't think it's not about competing because I'm better than people. It's about, hey, we're all looking for the same goal, and your style isn't my style. Your truth is not going to be my truth. What I'm doing isn't going to be the same thing anybody else around me is going to be doing. So we can be a crew, but at the same time, we're not really going to be on the same page.
Yeah, I feel you. But I think, like you said, it's more about the people. You know what I'm saying? You know, individually, you know, collectively as well. You know, I mean, that was the reason why crews form was so that we can work together, because
if you got a big mission, crews are, but we really didn't have that a lot. Like, you know, back in the days when we had Spike out, he was doing his thing. And then it wasn't like everybody was going out together as a crew and we were bombing together.
Right.
You know, if you got 7 people out, that's too many people. You weren't doing walls big enough to do that. And we usually, the people that I was hanging around usually weren't trying to set up on walls like that. It would be like, I got like 4 cans of paint. We're going to hit the yard, or we're going to hit a couple trains, and we're going to lay low because it's going to be hot for the next like 2 days. We could just sit back and let people see our names run.
Do you have any recordings of your music at all from over the years?
I know JP Chill has the copy that I had given to HBK, and that had literally like 9 songs on it.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of the stuff was Brian working the keyboards and music. And if I can remember it correctly, a lot of that stuff would still go by today, but it would be more vibe stuff. It had that new kind of flavor in it, even though it was like 1986.
Okay.
Because right now, all this new rap stuff that they're doing isn't hip hop. It's just background music. It's not anything you really have to listen to.
Okay.
It's you know, hip hop is about telling a story.
Yeah.
It's about moving the art forward. And like most of these guys is coming up with an idea and it's background music. You talk over it, it don't matter.
Yeah. I hear you. That's a good way to explain it.
You miss half a minute in Slick Rick's story. You ain't gonna be what? Who is this dude with the gun?
Right.
Just rewind it. Just
you gotta go back to the beginning.
And that's the beautiful part about hip hop, man. It's about moving things forward. Hip hop has always been a movement, and it's always a fluid thing. Whereas this new stuff is like, nobody care about what happened with Drake. I was poor having them problems. He talking about he went through all of this stuff, and got on Degrassi, like, dude, I had girls hanging out with me and doing all of this stuff
Right.
when I was broke.
Right. Right.
I'm not writing about that.
Right.
This is stuff you take, you hush that. You keep you man. Don't be all out here like that.
Yeah, man.
Telling them Chris Brown and doing it. Like, this is just, this is why you got to have somebody to direct you.
Yeah. So what are you doing today, man? What are your aspirations or your goals, or do you have any in regard to hip hop today?
Definitely, man. I mean, I'm still feeling like I've got things that I can contribute, but at the same time, like financially, I've just been like wrecked over the last couple of years, man. It's just between all of the cars and all of the back and forth and the kids. Like I said, I just came from a graduation.
Yeah.
My son graduated today.
Congratulations.
Just got back at like 7:15.
Congratulations.
So when you got an 18-year-old that's graduating, a 19-year-old that just graduated, you got a 20-year-old that's just graduated, it's like, that's the waves. I'm gonna have like a 3-year window where I'm not gonna have to go to another graduation. And then my daughter's gonna be done, and it's just gonna keep going. So wife is just starting to work again. We'll see what happens. I mean, like I said, I would love to work with Riot and Ange 13, and she's got beats and rhymes. It's like, dude, you could just move in with her.
Yeah, Ange stays busy.
Yeah, and she's like the most professional busy, man, between her and
she still works a regular job.
Yeah, she's got that work ethic that just like, when I say people just won't let hip hop die and they just don't stop, those are the people that I think about when I think of real Chicago hip hop artists. Me, it's like I could sit back and watch people do it, and they would have to like do it themselves because they just never stop. Yeah. So they have nothing but respect for me, man.
That's what's up.
But yeah, like, I mean, on Facebook listening to DNA Beats doing his stuff, and I'm like, man, I could do it. And then I just started like typing in stuff, just making up stuff as I go along, just not like really like thinking about what I could be writing, but just dropping like 4 or 5 different bars and just like, just that's the vibe I got from what. And I don't know, he's like, you should just say this stuff. Just
right.
And I probably should.
Right. Well, hey, man, it's been an honor, man. It's already been an hour now, and I actually got to get over back to the museum because we're having our celebration tonight.
You guys are gonna be putting up the links for the museum, because I think I'm following the Hip Hop Museum on Facebook.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try to go live when I get over there. But we're having a closeout celebration tonight so that we could take down the old exhibit and put up the new one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Kingdom is over there right now.
And all that stuff is still going to be accessible on video for later on for the people that didn't get to go see it this year, right?
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna definitely keep everything in the archive, so we'll have it. It's just that we wanted, for people that are in Chicago, we wanted them to get the actual experience of coming to the museum and seeing it for themselves.
Yeah,
it's been up for a whole. It was up for a whole year, so now it's time for a new exhibit. Yeah.
Like I say, man, it's always about keeping it fresh. That's what hip hop movement is about.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's always been great hanging out with you guys, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so glad we finally got a chance to make it happen. And
that whole mic signal thing on April 1st, my wife was clowning me about that. It's like, oh, you didn't have no interview. Yeah, he did that to you. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, like you say, everything happens for a reason, man. We here now.
And that's the way the energy works.
Yeah. I look forward to you coming back to Chicago one day, man, so we can kick it, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna be putting some stuff up on Facebook. Like I said, it's always a restriction on my file, but
okay.
I was in Chicago last year twice.
Okay.
I just gotta actually announce when I'm coming.
Okay. But definitely keep me posted.
All right.
All right, my brother. It's been one. keep doing what you're doing. Say hello to the wife and the family. And, we'll look forward to seeing you sooner than later.
All right. Thank y'all.
Yes, sir, man.
House.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, my brother. Have a good one, man.
Be safe.
Word up. Let me close this on out and see you around. Real quick, my brother told me to remember to ask you to give us a drop. He said to give us a drop, just introducing, your name and, hey, this is Image. You're watching the RYC Live show. Something like that, just so we can use for the future.
Cool. You ready?
Yep.
All righty. Yo, this is I Am Fresh. You are now listening to the Rep Your City. Okay.
Try it again.
It's the podcast. I got to remember it's not the radio station.
Yep. RYC Live.
All right. We're going to go back and revisit the old voice. Yo, this is Image. Welcome back. You are now listening to the Rep Your City podcast from Chicago, all about hip hop.
Cool. My brother, Mr. RYC Live, say he want to holler at you. So we're going to conclude this broadcast, but stay on real quick because we're going to go backstage for just a moment. Then I got to jet out of here, man. So
I got you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back next week.
He can hit me back on Messenger because we can just chat. He can just hit me there.
Yeah. So we'll be back next week. We'll have our special guest next week, DJ K-Rock, MC Lights DJ will be on next week. New month. It will be in June next week. So stay tuned for that. He'll be on with us next Friday. So until then, y'all, keep it fresh, keep repping your city, and we'll see you back again next week. One love. This is Artistic, and shout out to my man, Brother Image. We'll see you once again. Peace.
Peace.